Hello everyone, welcome to RushChem summary videos. In this video, I'm doing a question involving chromatography. Okay, so we look at this question. This question is taken from RushChem 3 and 4 study guide. So high performance liquid chromatography is used to determine the amount of aspartame in a sample of soft drink. So in one analysis, a set of standards of known aspartame concentrations were prepared and the HPLC peak areas of these standards were recorded. The results are shown below. So these are the peak areas of the 4 standards. So what are standards? Standards are the PO compounds, right? So we have prepared 5 different concentrations of PO aspartame and we recorded the peak area using the HPLC chromatogram. Okay, question A, plot the calibration graph for the standard solution. So how do you plot the calibration graph? In the calibration graph, on the x-axis, we have the concentration and the y-axis is the peak area. So now we have 4 concentrations and their corresponding peak area. So you can plot 4 points and then you can draw a line. That is the calibration graph. Two soft drink samples which were suspected to contain aspartame was analyzed under the same experimental conditions using HPLC. Then the aspartame HPLC peak area for soft drink samples were recorded. The data collected are presented below. Okay, so what is this here? So this table is showing you the peak area for 2 samples, so sample A and B, but this is the peak area in sample A, this is the peak area for aspartame. And this is the peak area for aspartame in sample B. Right now, the question is asking, the soft drinks produce many peaks on their HPLC chromatogram. How was the peak caused by the aspartame was identified? Right now, if you take a soft drink, it's made from many different chemicals, substances. Therefore, there'll be the chromatogram will have many peaks. So for example, right, so we'll say it has 3 substances. The soft drink sample A has 3 substances. Therefore, you will see 3 peaks like this, right? So in the chromatogram, the x-axis is the retention time, the y is the peak area. That is your chromatogram for sample A, right? Okay, how do you know then which peak is for aspartame? So from these 3 peaks, how do you know which peak is for aspartames? Now in the previous question, we had our standards. So what are standards? So standards are the PO substances, PO aspartame. So when you run the standard through the HPLC, you get the chromatogram, but that chromatogram will only have 1 peak because it is only one substance, that it is just aspartame. So you will only see 1 peak. So again, this is the chromatogram retention time and the peak area. So this is this peak is for what? Aspartame. So which means I can now find the retention time of aspartame using the standard. So which you can take any standard. In each standard, the retention time has to be same because you are not changing the experimental conditions, right? So we'll say for this one, the retention time is around 10, right? And even here, you must have, this is the chromatogram for your sample A, you must have a peak at 10. We'll say this peak is at 10, which means this peak is for aspartame, right? So then you can find the corresponding peak area for that peak. So this is the peak area for aspartame, right? So using the retention time, I can identify that peak. But when you're comparing the retention times, you need to know, you should keep the conditions same. So because the retention time can vary with the experimental conditions. So we look at the answer given now. So from the chromatogram of the standard, retention time of the aspartame can be determined. In the chromatogram of the soft drinks, aspartame peak must appear at the same retention time as the conditions of the experiment were the same. It is very important that you keep the experimental conditions same because otherwise the retention time can vary. Okay, so look at this question. Use the calibration graph to determine the aspartame content in sample A. Okay, so this is my calibration graph that we plot before, right? Now for sample A, peak area is 640. So now you go to the calibration graph, find where is 640, then you find the corresponding concentration. So this is the concentration of aspartame in soft drink A. Okay, then question D, explain why the aspartame content of sample B cannot be readily determined using the information provided. If you take sample B, peak area is 1950. Okay, so you can see in your calibration graph, the range is from the first, this point is around 200, that's around 1000, right? So like close to 1000. So 1950 is not within the limit of the graph, right? Extrapolation of the curve is not accurate. Why? So we know it's linear from there to there, but beyond that, we don't know whether it's linear or not. Therefore, extrapolation is not accurate. So that's why, because it's not within the limit, so you can't find the concentration, aspartame concentration using its peak area. Okay, so we look at the answer. The peak area of aspartame in sample B is not within the limits of the calibration curve. Extrapolation of the curve does not give accurate values. That's the answer. Okay, so look at this question. Explain what could be done to the sample B so that its aspartame content can be readily determined using the information provided. Okay, now you have to think why the peak area for aspartame in sample B is higher, right? The peak area represent what? The concentration. Greater the concentration, greater the peak area. So therefore, what is the reason? In sample B, the aspartame concentration is very high. That's why the peak area is not within the limit of the curve. Therefore, what we should do then, if you dilute your sample B, we can bring the peak area to the limits of the curve, but you should know by how much you have to dilute. So to find by how much you have to dilute, you can look at the upper limit of the curve, which is around 980. And the peak area of sample B is 1950. So 1950 divided by 980 is 1.98, so about 2. So you dilute your sample by a factor 2 or more than that. So when you dilute your sample by a factor 2 or more than that, what will happen? The peak area will come to this limit so that you can calculate the concentration. But the concentration you calculate is not the correct concentration. It is the concentration after you dilute, because you have done a dilution to bring the peak area to the limit, right? So if the concentration, so we'll say if the peak area is somewhere here, you can calculate you can find the concentration using the curve, but that concentration is for the diluted sample. So then what we can do, we can find the dilution factor, right? So dilution factor is by how much you diluted. For example, you can take 10 ml of the sample B, then you dilute until 20 ml. So the dilution factor is what then? 20 divided by 10 is your dilution factor. So dilution factor is 2. So when you find the concentration, right? When you find the concentration from the graph, so you draw a line and you find the concentration. So this concentration here is for the diluted sample. To find the original sample, then the original sample's concentration, I multiply whatever the value I got by the dilution factor of 2 here. So that way you can get the original concentration. Okay, so that's the end of this video. Now it's time to try questions. You can find questions on both 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 Roche Chem study guide. So these are the pages. So thanks for watching my videos. If you need any further information, please visit our website, www.rochechem.com. I'll see you in another video.